What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian from House of Wrestling, and this is my review for the September 21st episode of AEW Dynamite. Yes, AEW Grand Slam from Arthur Ashe Stadium. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notifications, and hit the subscribe button on YouTube so that way you are notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content on YouTube. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Man, tonight's AEW Dynamite, AEW Grand Slam. This, in my opinion, was better than last year's Grand Slam. Of course, last year's you had the Omega Danielson match, which opened up Grand Slam. But tonight, this card from top to bottom, like this was a solid card. It was, for me, it was well paced. You had a little bit of everything. It didn't drop as far as entrance. Like last year, when you had Omega and Danielson start to show off, it was like, it was so anticipated that, oh man, we have it. And then after that, it just went, and even going into Rampage last year when you had Hobbs and Punk start off Rampage, and then you had in the main event, it was Eddie Kingston and, oh man, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know Homicide made an appearance, so it's like, it was cool, but it was like the way it was structured, it really didn't, it was like, yeah, this is cool, but it's like, and it's not to take anything away from Eddie Kingston or Homicide or anything. If it was placed in reverse, where you had Punk and Hobbs or something like that last year, it would have been somewhat better. But this year, this Grand Slam was dope. I did read some of the spoilers. I'm not giving it away for the simple fact that I want to wait till Friday. But it is going to be pretty cool this Friday. But man, this Grand Slam, I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. This was one of the best, well-placed Dynamites you could say for the year. And it just seems like ever since January 1st, when that tweet was sent out by Tony Khan, it's just been a very tribulating year for AEW internally, and it's just this hurdle, this trying to put things together and get some go through this transition and then go forward. It was like every month they were going through a different type of transition and not really getting some momentum going. And it seems like ever since AEW All Out, it does seem like they're getting some momentum. But man, tonight this was fun. So before I get into the breakdown of the whole show, I am going to give you guys the results. So starting off, you had Claudio Castagnoli versus Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is the new Ring of Honor World Champion. I'll get into that a little bit later. Then the second match, you had the Acclaim take on Swerving Our Glory, Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee. Yes, we have new AEW World Tag Team Champions. That is going to be interesting. The Acclaimed are over. They are super over. Then you had Pac take on Orange Cassidy for the AEW All-Atlantic Championship. Pac defeated Orange Cassidy by some surprising methods that he used, so keep an eye on that. Then we had, in the Fatal 4-Way, you had Britt Baker, Serena Deeb, Athena, and Toni Storm all face each other. Toni Storm came out victorious, but it was what happened afterwards, which was, got the internet talking. Then in the main event, you had Jon Moxley defeat Bryan Danielson for the AEW World title. Man, both guys are my favorite wrestler. I would have wished for Danielson to win the title, but then again, if you look at it from this point, Danielson has had moments of injuries where he had to take time off for a little bit, so it is the right call to go with Moxley. I would have liked to see Danielson have it for a little bit, but considering what I just said earlier, like you really have to like you know what? Do we give it to Danielson and then possibly by November you're dropping it to MJF? how does that play out and everything? But yeah, that is the results for AEW Dynamite. Getting into the first match, Jericho, Claudio. This was a fun opening match. I know a lot of people were anticipating, they're probably going to have Danielson and Moxley starting off. That wasn't the case this year. And I think when Jericho's music hit, it was like, okay, Moxley and Danielson are the main event. All right, we can go through this show and boom. And that was a smart move because I honestly believe if you had Danielson and Moxley start off the show, it would have taken things down because, we know who the champion is. That whole thing. Of course, people could think, hey, well, MJF could come in later in the night. Yeah, I wanted my shot, but that's not going to happen. But I like that they started off with Jericho and Claudio. This was a very good match. Surprisingly, you can't say it's surprisingly, but it was surprising that Kerry Silk, the former owner of Ring of Honor Wrestling, who's been at ringside for numerous AEW events when it's been a Ring of Honor match, Jericho attacked him. It was like, he had him blocking so Claudio could hit Jericho, and Claudio caught him, and then Jericho hit Claudio, and he pushed Kerry Silken down, and then he smacked him in the face. I was like, what the hell? But no, this match was really good. Jericho, he was trying to perform you could say a Frankensteiner. That's what I call it. People call it Hurricane Rana or whatever. So he was trying to do a Hurricane Rana, and Claudio caught him on the top rope. And then it looked like Claudio was going to powerbomb him, and no, Jericho reversed it into a Hurricane Rana. So that was a cool spot. I like that. They didn't do too much, but it was really physical. There was a spot early on in the match that Jericho did a suplex from the apron onto the ring mat. I was like, damn, on the outside floor, and it's like, man, you heard that thud, just pop. It was like, damn, I know you're paying you guys a lot of money, but you really want to take that bump? It was like, ooh, man. But this was nice. Claudio did his infamous spin. He did it 20 times, which was crazy. You could tell when he did the spin, he was like, him and Jericho were kind of loopy. It's like, oh man, I think I did it too much because he hit and he stumbled in that thing. But in the end, Jericho, he committed a low blow. Then he did a Judas effect. And of course, everybody was anticipating Claudio was going to kick out. Nope. Jericho pinned him. Like I said, Jericho is the new Ring of Honor World Champion. Very interesting by this call. Is there a Ring of Honor deal in the works or already being developed? Considering that we're towards the end of September, we got October, November, December. Are we going to see something with a Ring of Honor TV deal with Warner Media soon? That's why they made the switch to Chris Jericho? Don't know. We'll see. But overall, this was a nice start to the show. Then the post-match, you had Jericho Appreciation Society. They were celebrating, but you saw Daniel Garcia lingering in the back. Everybody else they got Jericho hoisted on their shoulders, and they're celebrating. You get a shot of Daniel Garcia just not celebrating or anything, just okay. So you could tell they're planting the seeds for Daniel Garcia and the Blackpool Combat Club. We see it. We see Daniel Garcia joining the Blackpool Combat Club. When? We just got to watch. But we could tell it's on the horizon if they're already planting the seeds. Then we had the second match, Swerving Our Glory versus the Acclaimed. The Acclaimed are over. They are super, super over. They had probably, if not the loudest reaction tonight on Dynamite at AEW Grand Slam. Swerving Our Glory, they came out with Fabulous, the rapper. Yes, Fabulous was in the building. Of course, at ringside, you had West Side Gun, who's always there. He's always supporting wrestling. A big follow him on social media, man. The dude's a huge wrestling fan. It's so dope to see that. Then you had DJ Who Kid come out with the Acclaimed. You had a large old Scissor Me Daddy chants throughout the crowd. This it was like what happened at All Out in Chicago, like just transferred over to Arthur Ashe Stadium at Grand Slam. Like this crowd wanted the Acclaim to win. They didn't want anything else. I wouldn't. I honestly think it's unfair to compare this match between Swerving Our Glory and the Acclaim to their match at All Out. One, different circumstances. It just felt different. I like to use the comparison when you have matches like this, where teams have faced each other the first time and the second time. There's a second match. I like to use the example of Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon with their two ladder matches. Both were phenomenal ladder matches. Of course, WrestleMania 10 and then SummerSlam 95. But you really can't compare the two. They were just two really good matches. And the Swerving Our Glory Acclaimed tag team match, this was two good tag team matches. One, the reigning champs, defended their championship. And then this one, the Acclaim won. There was a spot where Max Caster, he was on the rope. It looked like they were going to finish the match, and boom, he jumps. And what was weird was that he favored his knee, like something happened. Really interesting. Like it was like, oh no, they're supposed to get them the title. It's like, what if they win and they got to relinquish? Like no, like I don't mind the AEW interim championships, but I would like it where these men and women aren't getting hurt so much. Like just stay healthy. But man, overall, this was a fun match. The way it finished, I mean, I could see some people not liking it, like, oh, it was lame. They didn't need Billy Gunn interfering. But you got to look at it this way. Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee have been strong world tag team champions. And realistically, it's like, how are Max Caster and Acclaim going to defeat these guys? Like, Keith Lee is just a phenomenal beast in AEW. And it's like, how are they going to do this? And by having the ref outside being distracted and Billy Gunn performing a famouser on Swerve Strickland, throwing him in the ring and getting the pin, it sets up for Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee to be like, hey, if it wasn't for Billy Gunn interfering and giving me the famouser, we'd still be AEW World Tag Team Champions. So it does set up for a return match. And then it does set up whether they split up Swerving Our Glory, which I don't think they're going to do that. I do think they're going to have Swerving Our Glory be more heelish. We'll see how that plays out, but it does set up for a return match. See how this plays out, but man, this match was fun. The crowd for me personally, the crowd made this match fun because they were so into it. And like I've said in previous reviews, like when you have a crowd, especially that size, no matter what size, but especially that size, and they're into it and they're rowdy and they're cheering and they're doing chants and everything. As a viewer, I want to sit and watch this because this is like, man, okay, this crowd into it, man. This is all right, man. This is fun. All right, who's gonna win this match? How are they gonna? And that's how this match played out, man. Max Caster did the mic drop. Boom, 1, 2, 3, they win. And what was another good thing about this win was, to know where the Acclaim started. Like they originally weren't a tag team. Like Tony Khan put this team together, and he put them together when they were, I think, right before the new year in 2021. So they were still at Daly's place, and they were coming out the Acclaim. They were on Dark. And honestly, they are you could say, along with Powerhouse Hobbs, a team or wrestlers that started on Dark and just worked their way up to where, who would have thought, the beginning of the year, the Acclaimed would be, well, actually, I think I did predict that they would be one of the, I got to find one of those tweets. I think I did predict that because I'm like, they're on to something. But like, even going back last year, who would have thought that the Acclaimed would be World Tag Team Champions and have the loudest crowd reaction of the night? That's saying something, but I'm really looking forward to where they go with the Acclaimed and see how they shape up this tag team division, because it does feel like it's recalibrating the tag team division and who they're going to face. So we'll see where that goes. But man, this was a solid match. I loved it. Real interested to see what Swerve and Keith Lee are going to do. It's going to be interesting. Then we get a backstage segment with FTR, and this was after the tag team match, and they're, hey, we've been number one contenders since April. We want a match. And then they get interrupted by the Gun Club, Austin and Colton Gunn, and it's another team you're going to have to keep your eye on, because this promo that they gave, it wasn't the, oh my God, this is amazing promo, but if you just sat back and just let them talk and everything, it was like, okay, they're getting their dad's charisma. Like, they're starting to build up that charisma that their dad had once he made the shift from rockabilly to badass Billy Gunn. Like, you could see that, like, the seeds, like, you could see signs. I was like, this team's gonna be real. All right, let's see where this goes. And they were very condescending to FTR in their own quirky, if some might think it's corny way. For me, it's like, there's a lot of corniness in wrestling, but oh well, whatever, man. It's wrestling. But yeah, I'm interested to see where they go with the Gun Club and Colton and Billy Gunn, because it does seem like they have their dad's not only his charisma, but his sense of humor and his snarkiness and just sarcasticness. Like, it's there, but it's like, let's see where this goes. So I'm interested to see where this goes. Then we get an interview with Warrior Yuta. It's interrupted by MJF. Outside of the Acclaimed, MJF had the loudest reaction, man. That crowd cheered him, and I've been saying it for quite a while. What we're seeing from MJF since he came back from, he returned at All Out. This is similar to when right before The Rock joined the corporation. And if you remember that time period, you go back from SummerSlam 98, and then afterwards, like, The Rock started getting a huge, like, crowd react, like a good guy crowd reaction. Then they turn it. MJF is getting huge crowd reactions. He's over. You get huge MJF chants, and then of course he goes heelish and everything. Long story short, Yuta, MJF, they're talking back and forth. Yuta smacks the hell out of MJF. MJF headbutts Yuta. Then he proceeds to shove Tony Schiavone down on the ground. Look, I've been watching Tony Schiavone since I was a little kid. I had to think about it, but whatever. I've never seen Tony Schiavone get shoved down like that. I have never seen him get physically manhandled in the 25 plus years I've been watching wrestling. I have never seen him get pushed down. You get Morrissey. W. Morrissey comes out. He holds Yuta. You get MJF hitting Yuta in the head with his diamond ring. We get Yuta and MJF. This is planting the seeds of MJF and his, was it his, what did they call it? The faction that works with them, the Firm. I know their name is the Firm, but so you got MJF and the Firm against the Blackpool Combat Club. So Moxley the champ. MJF is, has the chip for the title. Very interesting. So we shall see what happens. Then we go to a backstage segment with the baddies. You got Jade Cargill, Layla Gray, and Kiera Hogan. They're talking about Diamante's surprise and what have you. And Diamante shows up and she's like, yeah, she's an OG, this. And it's none other than iconic rapper Trina. Yes, Trina. She has famous rapper, man. She was well known for a lot of the songs that she did with Trick Daddy. She was really popular in the early 2000s. Of course, I believe she's on Love and Hip Hop. It's funny because a few people predicted, and I remember I was like, Trina. I was like, nah, man, they gonna get this person. This person was like, oh crap, they got Trina. So yeah, Trina is accompanying Diamante at Rampage. And what's crazy about this segment, like people are like, who's Trina? Who's Trina? Oh my god, like what is? They're trying too hard. This. Cardi B retweeted or actually posted a clip of that segment between Trina and Jade Cargill on her Twitter account. Cardi B, yes. Cardi B, famous rapper right now, tweeted that. So, for all you that say, oh, this is stupid, this is dumb, when you get Cardi B and her name recognition and what she does and her influence on not only the rap culture, but also being Dominican and having an influence over the Hispanic culture, that's smart. Will we see Cardi B in AEW? Possibly. It's going to be fun. Then we get the Pac versus Orange Cassidy match. Man, this match was a lot of powerful strikes from Pac. Orange Cassidy's offense in this match, it reminded me a lot of what he did with Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door. To some extent, it's entertaining, but then to another extent, it does come across very repetitive. Like you kind of know the moves and like the situations that he's in. It's almost like it's repetitive. Like you just swap Pac and Ospreay, and it's like literally the same match. I don't know what it is, but it was an okay match. I'm not going to say that it was a bad match or anything. Like, there were some cool spots that Orange Cassidy and Pac did. But in the end, they were outside the ring. Pac grabbed the timekeeper's bell, the hammer to the bell, and hit Orange Cassidy, threw him in the ring, pinned him, 1, 2, 3. Pac is still the AEW All-Atlantic champion. Orange Cassidy suffers defeat. So we'll see where that goes and where that leads, because it's an interesting dynamic, because the Lucha Bros are more or less good guys, and Pac did a heelish move. So, I don't know, something's going on with AEW where they have these tag teams, or actually you could say these tag teams and factions where one's a good guy and one's a heel and does heelish tactics. So it's like this dichotomy, almost that Sting Luger dynamic in 96, where Luger was a bad guy, but Sting was his friend, and no, he's good, and that whole dynamic. But Pac's still the AEW All-Atlantic champion. Then we get to the women's fatal four-way: Britt Baker, Serena Deeb, Athena, and Toni Storm. One thing I like about this match, that it pretty much started at like 8:10. Mind you, I'm in Chicago, so it was Central Time. 8:10, so it was like 8:10, 20, damn, 8:30. Damn, they're going to get like 20 plus minutes. All right, and that's one thing I did like about this match, that they gave them enough time. This was a very physical match. It's really hard to nitpick this match, because it was basically each woman did their moves. So they got their offense in, and then they got their defense in, and then it was very boom, 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 boom. Like it was a pattern. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. And it was a nice tempo and everything. There's a cool spot where Athena did the Tower of Doom because you had Toni Storm on the turnbuckle. Then you had Serena Deeb and Britt Baker trying to do a double suplex. And then you had Athena. Boom. That was a cool spot. I don't recall that move being done in a lot of women's matches, but it was really cool. Also, Athena has new entrance ring music, so it's really cool. I like it. It's edgier. It fits her and her personality. That's really cool. Then there was a point where you had the double single leg crabs where Serena Deeb and Toni Storm were slapping each other. Then you had another spot, which was impressive, where Athena was holding up Serena Deeb and Britt Baker at the same time. And when she did that move, it was crazy because I believe it was that move or maybe another move. But when she landed, or however she landed, Britt Baker's, I think, nose busted or something busted. And she was just bleeding and everything. And you could tell she was kind of wobbly. She went on the side and everything. It looked like her face was like, from a distance, like, oh crap, I hope it's not her orbital bone or something like that, because it looked like right away something swelled up on her face. I think it was more her nose or her cheekbone, something like that. But it was like, oh crap, man, I hope she's not hurt. Like, oh, like we don't need any more injuries at AEW. Like, oh no. But somehow she finished the match. But Toni Storm got the roll up and pin. Toni Storm is still the AEW Women's Champion. Afterwards, you had Serena Deeb, Rebel. They were beating up Toni Storm and Athena. Then Jamie Hayter comes out and she turns around Britt Baker. And then they just beat up Toni Storm. So it was like, all right, they're still tandem and everything. So they start beating each other. And by this time, it's taken a long time. And it's like, who's coming down to save Toni Storm and Athena? It's like, it's taking some time. Okay, where is the third woman at? Like, where is she at? Britt Baker gets the glove. All of a sudden, music hits. And everyone's looking at the screen, and it's like, okay, it's spiraling. Name pops on. Saraya, yes. Saraya, formerly known as Paige in WWE. She is All Elite. Tony Khan tweeted out the graphic and everything. She comes out, ring scatters. It's a pretty cool signing. I like it. Hopefully, health-wise, her neck is good. I mean, we've seen Edge, we've seen Christian, we've seen Daniel Bryan. Trying to think of who else we've seen return from, that type of injury. Hopefully she can go. Even if she can't go, she's still a good manager. She's a good talker. So we'll see where this goes, but this is really interesting, really cool. I like it. Hopefully this is the starting point of them getting that women's division hot again. They got a lot of talent. Let me tell you, looking outside of AEW, not in WWE or Impact Wrestling, like you look at some of the women wrestlers that are available. And of course, if you watch Wild Women of Wrestling, there's a lot of talent that AEW could bring in that this could be a fun women's division in 2023. Hopefully, fingers crossed, AEW utilizes the women's division more because I think that's the one thing that is holding AEW back. Of course, a few things you could tweak here and there, but man, if you can get a hot women's division where you got some women wrestlers that the crowd are just cheering them the same way the Acclaimed, MJF, and then you have wrestlers that are just booed and everything, and when you have that dynamic in the women's division as you have in your men's division, and everything is on par and parallel, woo, That is an entertaining program, and you're going to get a lot of people tuned in. Then we get a very interesting promo of video by Darby Allin. He's carrying around a body bag. Looks like somebody's in it, and he's carried it through New York. Gets a taxi and is like, I'm headed to Arthur Ashe Stadium. Just got to watch Rampage. We'll see. Then in the main event, you got Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. MJF is up in the suite watching. This was a battle. This main event, what I liked about it was, and mind you, I've seen every Dynamite since it started. This main event has to be the most anticipated and the most engaged and interesting main event in AEW history. And that's saying a lot. But no, it was just like, okay, we're getting a new champ. We don't know if it's going to be Moxley. We don't know if it's Danielson. This was hard hitting. A lot of strikes, a lot of counters, a lot of submission holds, a lot of mat wrestling, a lot of counters into submission holds and reversals and strikes and that whole nine. I loved it. I loved Moxley's work. And honestly, a lot of people aren't giving Moxley credit. His in-ring work has been very, very good since he's returned from going to rehab. Like, his work has gotten better and better and better. And he's an anchor in AEW, and I like it. I like what he's done. But man, in the end, did the Death Rider on the stage. He did the Death Rider in the ring. Danielson kicked out. Eventually, got the submission hold. Pin, 1, 2, 3. Actually, no. It was a submission hold. And the way he did it, he was just hovering Danielson, which was a crazy submission hold because he was just on top of him, laying on him with his, kind of like a, man, you could say a crippler crossface, but he was just laying on him. So it was just like, Danielson, flip. The ref was like, dude, that's it. And, you get William Regan coming down to the ring, and you get MJF looking down. Danielson put the belt on Moxley. Moxley is, from what AEW has said, he is a 3-time world champion. This is going to be interesting, going to be fun. Of course, he was scheduled to take some time off, but because of what happened at All Out, that's not going to happen. It does look like it's leading to MJF and Moxley at Full Gear, and it does feel like Moxley's going to drop the title to MJF at Full Gear, and we're going to get MJF as AEW World Champion going into 2023. So, going to be very interesting. But man, this show, I loved it, man. I loved it. This was one of the best Dynamites of the year. If not, this could be the best AEW Dynamite of the year, man, because this was a fun show. There was a nice pace. It was nothing dropped off or anything. It was just boom, 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 and it was just simple. Man, if they could just keep this consistently, rev up, get that women's division hot again, and you got something, man. So we'll see what happens. Can't wait for Rampage. And actually, Friday's going to be dope because you're going to have SmackDown right before. And I know this is an AEW review, but guess what? I watch all wrestling, so oh well. You're going to have SmackDown, and we get to find out who and what is behind the White Rabbit. And then later on, we get Rampage, a 2-hour Rampage, and all that fun stuff. Sting and Darby Allin. You get Jade Cargill and Diamante with Trina at ringside. I'm trying to think of what else. Wardlow and Samoa Joe. Get Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara. So, this is fun, man. Pro wrestling is fun right now, and to think that 6 days out of the week, we get nothing but wrestling. And that's not considering that on Saturday, we got Wild Women of Wrestling episode 2 of the rebrand or what it is. But yeah, AEW Dynamite tonight. This was fun. I liked it. I do want to touch on this, man. It is dope that AEW is tapping into the hip hop rap community. It's funny because last year it was a completely opposite discussion. They're not tapping into that. They're not, pushing enough African American wrestlers, and the African American presence on AEW is very strong right now. But man, it's going to be interesting to see, who else they involve. Of course, this Friday we also got Action Bronson and Hook in a match, but it's going to be fun to see who else and what other rappers are going to come on AEW. You already had Jermaine Dupri, Kevin Gates. You had Snoop Dogg last year. But man, it's going to be interesting to see. And man, if AEW can get Cardi B, that is going to be very, very good. And those ratings are going to be bonkers. And I honestly think that there is a possibility that Cardi B will be on an episode of AEW Dynamite. Like, it's not if, but it's when. And you're starting to see a lot of the hip-hop presence on AEW strong. And it helps because a lot of your wrestlers are artists and they hang out with these guys. So it's good to bring them in, and there you go. But man, this was a fun AEW Dynamite. Looking forward to Rampage. Looking forward to Dynamite next week, and just the rest of 2023 for AEW, man. Like, ever since All Out and the way they've rebounded from what happened at All Out, the media scrum, like, it's like, me as a fan, I'm like, wow, that did, like, you forgot about, like, it's like, dude, like, I'm just excited about what's ahead, and we'll see what happens. But this is my review for the September 21st episode of AEW Dynamite, AEW Grand Slam. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you are notified when House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Can't wait till Friday, and actually tomorrow too, because you got Impact Wrestling and that whole dynamic. Like, oh man, there's just wrestling everywhere, man. I love it, man. So with that, enjoy professional wrestling. Man, we're living in some crazy times, man. Just enjoy professional wrestling. Let it entertain you and take your mind off of the crazy thing that's going on in this world, and have fun. All right, with that,